Well, hello, hello. How you doing today?
Hi, good, good, good. Thanks for taking the time.
Oh, absolutely. Well, thank you for making the film that you made. It's absolutely wonderful and one that I know so many people have picked up on now. It's personally my favorite doc of the year, and so I know you're hearing that a lot right now, but I know it's still just got to be such a great time because you never know how people are going to take these things,
You
right?
never know. And so I'm always honored. I don't take it for granted at all.
Mhm. Well, and you knew that this one was probably going to have some people talking and making a splash from the beginning, but that's the whole idea because this is some a project that was just so personal to you, right?
Yes, yes, yeah. There was a personal connection for sure.
hmm Absolutely. Well, and I just couldn't believe in watching this, and I know a lot of people felt the same that this was actual real footage. Like how could this happen?
Yeah,
But as you see this one, but also we have to be in a strange way thankful that this happened now because years ago this probably just would have been brushed away, right?
100%. Well, I think that but we see, I think there's about 8 states that require body camera footage. And this case is one that really highlights how important it is that the police, again, that they use that it's a tool that's used.
Yeah, well, and of course, now we're living in a world where you can buy a $30 body cam from Amazon, and people are wearing these meta glasses, that they're recording everything. So we're kind of coming into this kind of world anyway, for better or for worse, right?
100%, 100%. It's a world where people
hmm
document everything. I mean, we have cell phones, we have so many means to do it. But I also think too, what's interesting is as a medium, it is not unfamiliar to people too, right? Like this type of content, which is why I think it's also resonating because it has overlap with what you see on, again, on social media. People are generating content that visually might look like this. So
Absolutely. And is it interesting to you when people call this sometimes a horror movie?
no, not at all.
Because-
So I
yeah.
actually come from a narrative background
Yeah.
and it was intentional. We made it, I wanted to craft something that played like a thriller or a horror film because it's really what I think that this community went through, right? It was something akin to that, like a true to life horror film. And with such a terrible crime occurring in this very close knit community. And you see you really see so many layers. You see the intersection of racism and hatred and anger and access to guns, like when guns are in the wrong hands. But then all that juxtaposed with this beautiful little community living together, strong social network, a multiracial community, raising kids together, taking care of each other. And then there's this one outlier and her access to dangerous weapons led to the terrible, heartbreaking, devastating outcome.
Mhm. But it's these kind of movies I think that can actually make a change and change people's minds,
That's our goal.
about it. Especially living here in Texas, like it's a, we're in a strange place, but that with a lot of communities they're learning and they're seeing by seeing this, right?
Yes, yes. We hope that we hope, and Pamela Diaz, who's Ajika's beautiful mother, who you see in the film, she really, um, I consulted her, I asked her if she wanted a film. Like the only thing I knew how to do is make a film. And when the body camera footage, when we received it from the lawyers and for the case, I realized there could be a film because it went back 2 years. There was 2 years worth of material, and that was such a bigger story. There was a bigger story to be told. She wanted this out in the world. She said yes, that she wanted a story to be told about it. It's again turning sort of pain to purpose. And she really hopes that it is a call to action for people because again, this could be anywhere. It could be, it could be, any of us live in a community like that, or we all have neighbors, right? And I think it's a very familiar, a universal story. And she also hopes it's a call to people about, to think about how they show up in their communities, to be an upstander, not a bystander, it's this little world that we build and we show in the film, it holds a mirror up to the rest of our society and the greater ills. And it all starts at home, right? How we make change. So she's hoping people will be motivated to do that.
Absolutely. Well, and of course, people look up to what you're doing and they think, I got a story to tell. And so, what kind of advice would you give to somebody that wants to follow in your footsteps and do what you do so well?
So that's so interesting. I mean, obviously, there's so many stories to tell. I think some of the key things about great storytelling is point of view, access, and then like again, is it, do you have the materials to tell it? Is it something? And there's always this question, like, is it a book? Is it a podcast? Is it a film? Is it a news piece? I think really asking how we all need to ask ourselves before we embark. There's so many means of storytelling. What is the best medium? Is film the best medium? Is always a question I ask. Do you have visual material to tell this story? If not, what will you do? How will you tell it? Is it just talking head? And sometimes that can be successful, but it's really figuring out a story with a POV, a story, and an interesting way into it that tells something, makes people feel like they're learning something new that they didn't know, and doing it in a way that is also new, that is unique, that is compelling, that makes for a good film.
Yeah, absolutely. So my co-host is Drew Pearson, one of our great Dallas Cowboys. He caught the Hail Mary, went in the Hall of Fame. And so we'd love to ask people their Hail Mary moment, the moment in your life or career, you just kind of had to go for it and it worked out for you. What do you suppose that was for you? With this or maybe something else?
No, it was when I was very young, and I was working for an animation professor on the campus of Harvard University. I just graduated college. I had no clue what I was going to do. And I was going to get out of my parents' basement. I was living in my parents' basement, and I walked. Spike Lee was teaching on the campus, and he was working on the film Malcolm X, and we passed each other in the street. And I recognized him, but didn't realize who he was. Thought he was a student because he was had a backpack on. And also I was just like, he's walking around the campus like everybody else. And I think I got about maybe like 100 feet away from him and realized who it was. And he had stopped to sign an autograph. And I turned around. I was like, I have nothing to lose. I turned around and went back. And I introduced myself and basically, told him how much I admired him, and then begged him for a job. And eventually this man, and then I also kind of went to sit. I sat and I asked if I could sit on his class. He let me sit in on his class. He was so generous. And then he hired me on my first film job because I probably didn't leave him alone. I don't know. But that was my Hail Mary. That I just took that risk. And I was again 21, nothing to lose. And I'm so glad I did because it opened the door for me. He opened the door, and I basically was my foot into the film world. So I was so lucky.
Wow. Well, and what's interesting is life comes back around because your editor did the same thing to you, right?
So my editor Mary was actually she was an AE. She was an
Yeah.
assistant editor. And on a film that I was working on, she was the AE, and she was just and we honestly we bonded, and she's so talented. So she didn't have to do much.
Yeah.
We just, like I said, we kind of and she is incredible, and I hope to do many, many, many more projects with her.
That's awesome. But yeah, she said the same thing and just got to ask the question. So
Yeah,
that's
I think
incredible.
maybe she stayed on. I came onto a project she was already on, and she wanted to stay, and I was like, of course, I wouldn't replace you if you want to
Uh,
be. So
I love that. Well, and last thing, of course, part of getting through all this is that mindset that you have, that you have to be in. And as creative types, we're hard on ourselves. So, what do you keep in mind that kind of keeps you on the right path through the process of this movie and just in general?
um I think trying to when you make art, art is often it's a reflection of society, and I think I'm interested in work that makes a statement, that and that might serve some purpose for a greater good. That's my hope, that people learn something, that it's either even it can be a joyful, inspiring story. It can be a tragic story, but that you really want the audience to walk away feeling changed in some way, that they're walking away with something, carrying something with them that is new, and maybe again, you know, changes their view in some way, makes them think, sparks conversation. That's really what I think the best art does, and that's what I hope to keep doing, is making things that are both satisfying and entertaining, but meaningful, like have a meaning. And that some of that comes from coming from an immigrant background with parents who always say the most important thing is to be useful. So that's part of that. Like, don't be useless. Like, do not be being useless is one of, again, like the worst thing that you could be. So it is important to me to keep serving a purpose, a greater purpose.
Well, you've done it, and congratulations on everything. It's a fantastic film, and if anybody hasn't seen it, we're going to tell them to check it out. And this weekend, I know it's the big star film at the Critics' Choice Documentary Awards, so hopefully we'll see you there.
Yeah, and thank you so much. My team will definitely be there, and I unfortunately will not be there. I cannot be there just because I'm meant to be somewhere else, but my team
Yes.
will be there. So I'm so excited,
That's
for them to represent.
absolutely. Well, congratulations again. We can't wait to see what you do next. Look forward to talking to you again soon, and we're rooting for you this weekend.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much. See you soon. Bye bye.
Bye.